Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to connect your controller. What I've done is I've gone ahead and plugged the USB for the computer port into this USB-C, which is plugged into my computer. So I'm going to plug that in like that. This is for powering the controller if you're using this wirelessly. Over here you have your master outputs, which this is what you'd use to connect to speakers. I'd recommend getting, this is RCA, so getting an RCA to XLR male cable that will allow you to plug this in. I'll show you what that looks like. And then over here you have your mic input along with your mic gain, which you can plug a mic in and use that as well. On the front side of the controller, you have your headphone port, which this is where you'll plug in your headphones, which you'll be using to pre-cue tracks. So this is what an RCA to XLR male cable looks like. This is the RCA ends. You see the red and the white. And then this are the RCA male outputs. You can tell they're male because they have the long stick conductors, red, and this is white, and this would be your left and right into your speakers. And this is what basically all pro grade audio is going to use, is this XLR connector. So it's really important you get a cable like this. I think I got this one off of Amazon for like 10 bucks. So definitely good to have one of these with you so you can always connect to speakers or any sort of external mixer. Now let's go ahead and get started connecting this controller to Virtual DJ or whatever DJ program you're using. Now most of the time it'll set up automatically, but in my case, what I'm going to do is open up Virtual DJ. And once it pops up, it will actually ask me if I want to use this as my audio sound card or the DDJ FLX4. Now for this video, I'm actually going to use the computer's audio so that way I can record it so you guys can hear it. And really this comes down to where your speakers are connected. If you're using the audio output ports on the FLX4 or on your DJ controller, then you'll want to select that. Otherwise, if you're using the audio out like the stereo port on your computer, then select your computer. Most of the time you're going to want to select your controller because that's where you can use your headphones and use the external mic inputs. I'm only doing this so I can record it, but that's pretty important because it's where your audio is routed. So if you're getting an issue, you can't hear the audio even though your volume and stuff is up, then that's a good place to see it. So let me go ahead and enlarge this, and what you see here is basically a representation of what's going on the controller. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about before in the last couple videos is now mirrored here, and that's why this is called a DJ controller. It's just controlling the software that's coming through in different places. So of course you have your crossfader, your up faders, you have your filter knobs, your low, mid, and high, as well as your gain or trim knobs. You will also have a master output, which this is sort of like the overall volume. And we'll talk about gain staging in another video. You also have some effects controls. It's going to look different depending on your controller. Play, cue, all of your hot cues, which you can then swap between different things. Your tempo faders, and then your loop controls up here on top, along with sync and pretty much everything else you're going to need, as well as these are called transport controls. You can go around loading different tracks by twisting these knobs and loading them. So that's pretty much how this is laid out. To give you an example, I can load a track to the left deck by moving the browser knob and then pressing load on that side. Then I can go select another track by twisting the knob and hitting load on the side that I want to load it to. And of course from here we can then play the track, play around with the tempo. There's a little notch here so you can tell when it's centered. We can set loops by setting in and out, or you can set a 4-beat loop this way by just hitting the 4-beat loop. And then in this case, this will actually shorten or lengthen the loop by factors of 2, which is really, really helpful. You, of course, also have your, this is going to be your microphone level, the volume. There is a trim knob for your microphone on the back. This is like you set the gain to maximum here, so you're not clipping your mic, but it's as loud as it needs to go. And then you can use this to control the volume while you're actually DJing, knowing you're not going to overload the signal. So that's really, really nice. This is which deck are selected by the effects. This is basically the depth of the effect. You can see this is routed to the dry wet of both effects because that's how this is. And other controls as well, such as your pre-cue amount and your, I think you have a sampler level too. Oh, maybe not on here, but some controllers will also have a separate sampler volume in addition to that. So remember, whatever's here on this deck is mirrored directly on this deck, just like we see in software, except in this case, we have some different controls here. We also, of course, have our beat jump, which is present there as well. So in the next video, we'll get started working on some transitions. So I hope you found this helpful, and let's have some fun.